Dragon from the distant future here. I just want to say that I will not be posting regularly as I have been for the past couple of weeks or months or whatever, because my computer broke. It's completely destroyed. I don't know if it'll be able to be fixed. I'm taking it somewhere. Hopefully he can do something about it. The port where the charger goes in is broken, therefore it cannot be charged, therefore it cannot turn on. So I'm using my mom's computer and it's literally completely different. Everything's different. So I will be putting things on less, but I have tons of content on my channel. Please go on my channel and look. I am so happy for 82 subscribers. I will be going live for my 100th subscriber. Whenever that happens, I will be doing a, I don't know which, I haven't decided whether it's a Q&A or Resident Evil based situation, but there will be a live that will happen when I reach 100. I am so happy. Thank you. Anyone who's new, my name is mdragon12. You can call me Dragon, you can call me M. I am a gamer. I am an astrology enthusiast. I am a college student. I still have yet to decide what I'm calling my subscribers or people who watch me. So link that in the comments if you can think of anything. I mostly talk about video games and movies and stuff I like. There are 4 or 5 things that I usually often talk about, whether it be a quick bit. A quick bit is usually when I don't have a script and I'm just going off whatever I remember. And it's oftentimes a review of a movie, TV show, or series. Whether it be on Netflix or anywhere, I tell you where you can look for it most of the time. If I don't ask in the comments, I also do reviews on video games. I have gameplay from Xbox. My very first video I ever did was a review of Kingdom Hearts 3. If you like Kingdom Hearts, if you like Resident Evil, if you like Silent Hill, if you like games like that, if you like horror, if you like comedies. I talk a lot about social issues as well. In between all that, there's usually isn't one specific time in which I'm talking solely about social issues, unless it is a current events. That's another section of my channel. They're all separated nice and neat for you from the very first time it came out to now. You start from the bottom and go to the top, and that's the order. Sidebar to the sidebar. I see that a lot of people watched my side B video of Resident Evil, How the F Did We Get Here? Resident Evil Village. And you cannot watch B without A. So watch A first and then B. This isn't Resident Evil 2 where you can just decide to play Leon. It's Claire's game. So Claire, side A. Watch side A first because side B for some reason has a lot more views. Like y'all just didn't watch the first one. But watch that one. Let's get back to the regularly scheduled program. I just wanted to let you guys know that that's the reason why I have not been as active as I wanted to be. But there you go. All right, let's get down to business. So I've already reviewed Resident Evil Village, but there are a few things I'd like to discuss about it. The first part of the video will be about how Resident Evil has always had its own identity, but at the same time, there are little tiny things they do that are reminiscent of pop culture or scary movie inspirations. Like in Code Veronica, when the Bandersnatchers came out, when they're introduced, that's a callback to Alien, I think, or something. And there are a bunch of other ones as well. I don't know if Anaconda was even out when Jan was introduced. Kind of looks like it in the remake. But I also want to talk about some things that were scrapped. But before we talk about the inspiration stuff, because it's kind of a long segment, I want to talk first about what I just learned about Donna. So supposedly the worst place I experienced was Heisenberg's lab or Heisenberg's factory. But the worst place overall was Donna's whole situation, because it didn't even feel like I had control. Took my weapons, couldn't shoot anything, hide and go seek. It'd be one thing if like we did that throughout the game for certain things that you couldn't get away from. Just like we have to run from that stupid thing in Heisenberg's factory. We don't fight him right away. It's a whole nother thing for the whole segment for you to progress to be just that without any weapons. I hated that. And I wasn't really afraid. It was just gross. A lot of people were afraid, but I just wasn't. It was unnecessary, the whole baby thing, like I said in my video. I was very intrigued by the whole puzzle escape room aspect. What I didn't like was the fact that it felt like a different game. It felt like freaking Outlast or something. It felt like Silent Hill. It felt like literally everything else but what it was supposed to be. Not necessarily Silent Hill. I'm getting too exaggerated. But you get what I mean. It did not belong in the game, and if you were going to do that, like I said, it should have kept going. We should have been able to do that throughout the game. Resident Evil has always been, let's just add this to the bulletin board of things that need to be in Resident Evil games, about choices. Resident Evil 3 took choices to the absolute extreme. You got 3 different endings. You have different choices and different alternative routes to take with different people in Resident Evil 2 and 1. Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 4, even Resident Evil Code Veronica, they're quite linear. There's no choice you get to make between those games. You start losing yourself. But if it gives any little pity points, Resident Evil Code Veronica did allow you to use a different weapon to kill Nosferatu, and you would get different and alternative scenes based on what weapon you use. I, for one, like the knife one better than any other one. The sniper one's okay, but I feel like the knife one, I think, is the best. At least in Resident Evil 7, y'all tried. Y'all were on crack when you made that decision for us to either give the serum to Mia, the girl who's been attacking you the entire time, ugly, good for nothing, loser, or Zoe, someone who's literally been helping you the entire time. You give her the serum, she dies. Wow, what a twist. That was great. But supposedly, Donna Beneviento originally was going to be a nurse or doctor, and that would have been cool because that would have actually given her more to do, we could have talked to her more. I can't believe we talked to Moreau more, who I thought was going to just be the mascot dude that didn't speak and just grunted like he did in the beginning. But Donna barely gets any, she's like, oh, don't go. It's just like, okay, I'm going to go, but why am I afraid of you? It didn't take me that long to go find Angie. Therefore, I never had that thing where the dolls were attacking you. I never got to that point. So it wasn't scary to me. I just saw them shaking and it was gross. And it was a little claustrophobic up in that house. I didn't like it without my weapons. She should have been a spider boss, like I said. And another thing that would have been interesting because it's like she's a doctor. She would have been sewing people up. That would have been better to be put in this game. I gave the game a 4 out of 10. If you would have kept Donna's sideline and at least given 2 more scenes with Mother Miranda if she's going to be the big baddie. But Donna really dragged down the whole houses. I honestly would have given this game a 6 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10 if Donna would have had more to do in the whole situation and I would have been a better boss and would have been a better situation. I'm seeing a lot of people lying. Honestly. They're like, oh my goodness, that was the greatest part. No, it wasn't. I paid for those guns. I paid for that ammo. Don't take my guns away. Especially if I freaking bought the thing. If I freaking bought it, don't take it away from me. All right? So, the whole Donna side situation was dumb. It was dumb to me. I didn't like it. It looked great for another game. Outlast, Far Cry, whatever it's called, not Far Cry. It's Left 4 Dead or something, when you gotta hide up in somebody's locker or whatever. That's where that belongs. Does not belong in Resident Evil. A lot of people are lying. Y'all's experience, this game was cool to play. It was cool to play. Does not fit in the Resident Evil nothing. And stop talking about, oh, this is where they're taking it. You cannot take something on a path that it was never on to begin with. We're going into the ocean right now. We're no longer on a path. We are no longer on a path. Things can change and evolve, but when you evolve a game to having no resemblance to anything that's ever happened before, you are making a different game, and you need to stop taking the fruits of other people's labor and greatness and putting just something that everyone knows, because we all share a consciousness, being like, okay, this is King Arthur, but it's got nothing to do with King Arthur and it's in space. Stop it. What if Dead Space was not in space and we were on Earth and we were fighting just people and like it was Street Fighter? Would that be Dead Space? If you put a basketball game up in the Xbox and you're trying to play, or you're on PlayStation, you're trying to play, and then you got a football in your hand, are you going to be satisfied with that? If it's you got to do puzzles in order to get the basketball, and then you can't even shoot it nowhere, you just got to hold it in your hand and then crack it open like an egg and eat the yolk inside, is that a basketball game? Are you going to be satisfied with that? It is the exact same thing here. I am not satisfied with Resident Evil Village to be a Resident Evil game. You got Chris looking all old, making me feel sad, making me upset, giving Ethan a great story and great personality in this game. Basically, he just says HE double hockey stick a lot, but it's just like it's more than what he did in the other place. I guess he was dead and he was comatose, and I guess that's why he didn't have no personality and he did the bare minimum reacting to things in the first one. I think y'all just didn't care about Ethan, and you guys made us care and then killed him. It's like, okay. And then he's at the end. I honestly think y'all put that person at the end next to the car. I do believe that was not to happen. I do believe that was a glitch in the game, and y'all couldn't take it out in time, and people saw it and they're like, oh my gosh, that's Ethan. So now you got to figure something out. Y'all stuck. Good job. When you rush games out and move the time and be like, oh, we're going to have it this time. No, wait, we're going to have it this time. We're going to have it this time. Like, you should have just put verse out and let us have verse for like a couple years before you started putting another Resident Evil game out. This game was not ready. You took a lot of things out. Dimitrescu, you literally sold this game on her freaking back. You literally sold this game on her back just for her to die in the first hour of the game. And she is the strongest. Heisenberg was not the strongest, just to let you know. She was older than Heisenberg, first off. Second of all she has to do is melt the boy. All she has to do is melt the boy. He will melt. He is metal. He is metal. All she has to do is breathe the fire, I guess, because she's a dragon, I guess. I love dragons. I hate the fact that Lady Dimitrescu was based on a dragon. Yeah, supposedly her name means dragon lady or something, or 8 foot tall woman or whatever, and it has something to do with dragons. You should have named her something else, had to do with the bats, because the story was bat. Stay with me now. Your own story. I know your story better than you do. It was bat. It was spider. It was fish, and it was horse. Y'all understood that with Heisenberg. He was horsepower. I understand that. I got enough brain cells to understand that. The fish, yes, we saw him slither into the water. We saw Moreau slither into that dank water. I understood that. Donna, you dropped the ball. You dropped the ball on Donna. Y'all love to drop the ball on women. Like, it's great, right? It's great. But you dropped the ball on her, so made her useless. Angie makes no sense. Supposedly her twin sister, or whoever it was, mom, is either her mom or her sister. I really don't know, because it wasn't clear. Based on what you gave me, it's not clear. So I'm going to have to look it up, and all these super fans and people that get the information from somewhere, I got to figure it out there, because you didn't give me enough information in the game. Supposedly, she died at 9. So why is Angie a doll that's like a bride? Y'all did that because you were trying to emulate Bride of Chucky. You were trying to emulate the dolls from scary movies. And it's like, okay, you could have done better. She didn't need to do that. It's like, oh, it's day and night. Okay, figure something else out. That's not good. I'm just letting you know. It's not my job to tell you what else to do. I can give you ideas, but it's not my job, and you're not paying me. So figure it out. I'm letting you know that it's wrong. Angie should not have been no bride. She should have been a different doll. If you insisted on giving this girl a doll and not allowing her to be her own person. If you insisted on yet another woman getting the shaft along with Lady Dimitrescu and Mother Miranda, you just like freaking put a bunch of pictures and a bunch of crap we're supposed to get at the end of the game. We barely see this girl. We see her twice as an old lady and once killing some random freaking dude in the fields. She's just strangles him. For what reason? We don't know. For what reason? We don't know. Do you know why he had to get killed? Why did he have to get killed? It would have made sense if she were to implant the megamycetes, some megamodamolesco, or whatever nighttime drug she puts in people, and the Kadao or whatever. It would have been interesting to see her, like, just like in Resident Evil 5, since you're putting all these references to all these games far better than this one. Even the lowest of the low. It would have been cool to see Mother Miranda actually do something productive. Supposedly, based on lore or whatever, she holds councils with the people to see what happens, but she's just killing people now. You did that so that we could see her because you knew that you didn't give us enough scenes with Mother Miranda. I'm telling you that was wrong. She shouldn't have been out there in the fields. She's above everybody. Why is she doing her own executions? Supposedly where Ethan was is where everybody goes to get judged. So she's just not going to judge them anymore. She's just killing people now. That makes no sense. But whatever. That was not her implanting the thing in that dude, because she didn't do that like that. She was a scientist, supposedly. Supposedly she's a scientist. We just get exposition of her many experiments on Mia and other people, but we don't get to see it. We don't get to see anyone do stuff like that. And why is her hair blonde? Why is her hair blonde? That's just a critique on my end. I'm just like, it's really like serving post-colonialism. And if it's so long ago, then it shouldn't. I'm not even going to talk about it. Let me get into what this is supposed to be about. Minutes in, let's go. Woo! So, Resident Evil Village, when inspiration becomes plagiarism. Now, like I said before, Resident Evil has always been about, like, adding inspirations and little tiny things from movies and horror movies and whatnot, little tiny things, but never in Resident Evil history has the inspiration been first and then the story second and then characters last. Never has it been that. And it's this now. It started in 7. Despite 4 being terrible, 4 actually had its own individual story. There may have been inspirations inside there. There may have been references. However, the game's story nor characters had to rely on those callbacks. James Bond, Kill Bill, a bunch of other crap. Like, I don't know if Ada's in, like, being inside is like a callback to Kill Bill, but that's what I got from it. When I first saw it, I was like, this is kind of like Kill Bill, or like, I don't know, Austin Powers, I don't know. It gave me some sort of vibe, but it didn't base it on that. Like, you didn't have to know the inspirations and the references for the story to be about its business. It didn't rely on anything. It was its own story, and that's the only bone I will ever throw at Resident Evil 4, because it is a grotesque, disgusting mockery. It's a shame. And all those people who are like, oh, it's great, they don't know what they're missing. They probably never played or been able to finish Resident Evil Code Veronica, because it is one of the hardest Resident Evil games ever. Especially with the way the cameras used to look and used to move. It needs a remake, and it needs a remake in third person, and it needs a remake just like Resident Evil 2 and 3 got a remake, except make it better, because I actually hated Resident Evil remakes. All of them, they're bad. The only good remake that y'all made was the remastered Resident Evil 1 because y'all didn't really change much. It's just, it's working on the engines we got now, and it's got a little better graphics, but it kind of looked like clay, so I kind of didn't like that aspect. 2, I liked better, but it's just like I said in a lot of other my videos, they do it like, okay, Claire goes first, and then Leon second, and then we don't see what Claire did, and we're like, it'd be cool if we actually saw Claire going through a door that we went through at the same time. It's like 2021 or 2020, whenever it came out, it's still sooner. It's still close to like evolution and whatnot, like of electronics and stuff. They need to get it together. It needs to be better. We need to get better. You want our cash? Get better. Resident Evil 3 was a disgrace. They made Nemesis look like a freaking Cenobite. A Cenobite. Very much serving fleshy, disgusting mush. He didn't turn to mush till later. He chased you. He ran at you. He ran at you. He's kind of like walking a little fast. But that's it. He ran at you in the other one. And then like the animation looked like trash. It looked like garbage. But he was running at you. The frames had to change. He was running so fast. The frames were like... And then it would go closer to you because it's just like he was running fast at you. I don't quite understand why you guys didn't play the game before you made a remake. I kind of think you should take into consideration what your source material looked like before you get so money hungry and so money blind. But as I was saying, Code Veronica references the best Resident Evil game, has references. Code Veronica references Psycho. That one can definitely be taken out. Alien or whatever. When, like I said, when they introduced the Bandersnatchers. But Resident Evil 7 has referenced literally every single scary movie ever made. From Texas Chainsaw Massacre to Jigsaw to Hostel to Paranormal Activity to Blair Witch to The Ring to The Grudge. May I go on? Do you need me to go on? Do you need me to? Do you need me to? Because it's too much. Ash versus the Evil Dead or whatever. Dead or Alive, like literally, if you can think about it. And Nightmare on Elm Street, I bet you anything is in there too. If you think about it, maybe. I'm pretty sure I didn't see anything having to relate to Nightmare on Elm Street, but I'm 100% certain you can find something. They did their best to just put it all in there. But it still kind of had a hint of some identity. It had identity. It had a soul. Despite all these references, and the references also were not plagiarized. The references didn't seem very plagiarized from their source material. It was just in there. It was just like, okay, they never had a problem with plagiarism. They just put it in there along with their original content. But right now, they're just money hungry, honestly. Name another explanation. Now it seems like they're taking every inspiration to a whole new thievery level. They seem to be taking references and creating around it, like I said, rather than making their own story and using their own imagination to find a common ground with existing logical connections to the movies if they must. Like, I don't believe it's a staple for them to have to put a reference from a scary movie or something, because like by now Resident Evil does have its own identity. It has its own, like, we all know what Resident Evil is. We can separate it from other games that may be close. A game that has always been close to Resident Evil, Silent Hill. As of Resident Evil 8, that is not true, because Resident Evil 8 even references itself along with Silent Hill. It's just like, how much are you going to do? The whole thing is kitchen sink, like I said in my video before this one. No game prior to Resident Evil 7 and 8 relied on references to function. Now, honestly, each of the lords were based on a reference. I think that's insane. I really do think that y'all are crazy. You don't have to do this. How many Resident Evil games relied solely solely on references to other things. So we got Lady Dimitrescu, right? Despite her being a dragon, she was played off as, she was marketed, she still is, continues to be marketed as a vampire lady, which she is 100% not. Supposedly she has this virus that they say, they don't call it vampirism or whatever, a blood disease. That does, first of all, that's not vampirism, because it's not about the blood. She drains the blood and whatnot, but it's more about essence and more about keeping the virus that she has fed. That's why the creatures in her house supposedly are flies. Supposedly they're eating the flesh to keep and maintain their forms. That's the reason why. And that's a form of zombie. But I like it. It fits into Resident Evil at that point. Everyone agrees who played the game that Lady Dimitrescu's whole portion, as little as it is one of the only parts of Resident Evil 8 that actually feels Resident Evil at all. But she is supposedly supposed to be like Count Dracula. She's supposed to be like a countess. She's supposed to be like that type of situation. She is the most powerful. Heisenberg is not the most powerful. When she dies, maybe Heisenberg's the most powerful, but Lady Dimitrescu could only be killed by that thing that she had when she could have threw it down that thing. Like, she could have threw it in that where it went to begin with. The only reason why you kill Lady Dimitrescu is because we get this crazy weapon that is like, it kills whatever she is. Literally. That's the only reason why she dies. You would not have been able to kill her without that stupid ex machina dagger like that. Here we are. This is just the thing to kill all things. And then it goes into some canyon. What are the odds? But Lady Dimitrescu was the most powerful. Absolutely. Most powerful. You can't tell me different. And she dies. You make her weak because we use this dagger from nowhere. That's never talked about in the canon. It would actually be cool if it was a weapon that was from a game before or something, like, get better at it, get better lorists, do better, hire actual fans of the game that actually know the lore of the game. Do so. So like I said, she's basically Vladimir or whatever. She's basically Vladimir the Impaler. And the next dude up, Beneviento was supposedly supposed to be a doctor, which would have been cool. And there are tons of doctors that are from movies. I imagine if they were going towards the whole route of movies, she could have been Hannibal style. She could have eaten flesh and stuff. That would have been cool. If you insist on taking from other people's greatness, because at this point it's not even inspiration. It's not plagiarism at this point. I'll get to that later when we talk about Heisenberg. But straight up, Donna, you could have did anything with her, and you decided to make her mute. And you decided to make her talk through an inanimate object. Because what? Because why? Because why exactly? I'm not even going to talk about it. We all know. But straight up. So she gets no personality other than a stupid doll's voice that I can't stand. And we play hide and go seek. And then we get chased by some fetus. Fetus deletus. Get out of my face. That's disgusting. Honestly. It was gross and it was unnecessary. It was the part that was trying to mimic Silent Hill or Amnesia. But honestly, you could have really made her from HE double hockey stick razor, heck razor with the Cinnabites and whatnot. If you're going to Cinnabite it up in here and make everything fleshy and tight, perhaps she could have been like the doctor from Heck Razor. Perhaps, because she would have been a doctor at this point. But right now, since she's just nothing, she's nothing. Just to let you know, she is nothing. Compared to Lady Dimitrescu, compared to Moreau, compared to Heisenberg, she is absolutely 100% nothing. I don't care what you put on a secret report. At this point, I don't care what you put on a secret report, because Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and Resident Evil Code Veronica did not rely on secret reports for you to understand what's going on. You could still shoot and stuff and know things from the cutscenes and get it. You don't need to go look at maybe the whole, you can look it up and look at a picture. That's some things that happen, like Wesker. But if you really thought about it, there were hints that gave you, okay, don't go out there. It's too dangerous. Like, even the music let you know Albert Wesker was not to be trusted. Even the music. And when Barry you don't know in a secret report that Barry's the danger. You don't have to find no piece of paper to put 1 and 1 to 2. You don't. You get everything you need from the game. The secret report should be bonus. It should not be missing puzzle pieces to a point. I understand some things, but not the whole thing. And the whole background for each of the lords you get in secret reports. You only get a few cutscenes with Lady Dimitrescu. You barely get anything with Donna. Barely anything with Donna. You get 2 more with Moreau, and you get a little side chick sideline thing with Heisenberg. You spend way too much time with Heisenberg. Way too much time. I feel like the same amount of time should have been with Heisenberg to every single character. We should have gotten more scenes with Donna. Donna should have been the doctor. She should have been the doctor. She should have served a purpose. She could have sold you something. She could have given you things. And then the Duke could have warned you about, oh, don't buy this from her. Don't do this. It could have been a whole great thing. But you're not hiring people that have any imagination. People say, oh, they're hiring suits or whatever. I don't know. Don't care if they're wearing suits or not. Freaking get it together. You can be in a onesie and like understand and do things and know better than a freaking suit. Like, honestly, like I get what they mean by suit. I'm just like, seriously, just like freaking get it together. You don't need to be no stupid $1 billion industry thing person, dude. CEO. It like just random people on YouTube know more about this game than you do, obviously, because you're not doing right by the games or the name. If you're gonna destroy this whole thing, sell it to someone else, because you are not working. It's not working. But honestly, Donna, I got Annabelle, I got very much Amnesia, the game. I got very much Silent Hill from her situation with the whole hallucinations, because basically Silent Hill is kind of like a hallucination type situation. But that's what I got from there. All doll of Chucky or whatever, Bride of Chucky. Solely because of the wedding get up. Nothing else, because I do believe Tiff is better than Angie. Angie was super annoying. Super annoying. I hated the hide and go seek. It was annoying. That was ridiculous. But y'all dropped the ball on Donna, because she's just another like woman, whatever. You put too much effort into Lady Dimitrescu and not putting enough effort into everybody else being in this whole situation. You're like, oh, we're silent. We're cool. Like, I think it's interesting right now. As of right now, as I said that, you're probably like, oh, what? You want the whole game? No, I don't. We didn't need a demo. Most of the beginning of the game is the demo. We didn't get much. The first, I didn't want to play that. I was like, can we get to something that I don't know? Can we get to something I don't know? Sure, we pick up other things, and sure, it makes sense, but what was the point of the demo? What was the point? To see if the engine works? That's what beta testers are for. Freaking stop using us as free labor. That's basically what demos are. Demo is free labor. People start complaining about, hey, in the demo, this, that, and the other. And then they're like, okay, we can fix it. Get your beta testers, pay them a decent wage. How about that? Because I know you made some money. Y'all keep bragging about how many copies you sold. First of all, I know you're lying. I know you're lying because, first of all, a lot of people were like, oh, we're not going to buy this. And it's like, yeah, some people say things and whatnot. But honestly, I literally only bought it for the content. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people bought it for the content. But there should be a lot less people who bought this game because it's insane. And I understand maybe the freaking losers in E-Boys that were simping for Lady Dimitrescu bought it just for that, and I hope they're happy because they only get her to see her once, and you don't even get to see her transform. You put her behind a little pillar so we don't get to see the whole entirety of her transformation, which is stupid. Stupid. We saw Steve Burnside's back break in his transformation. She should have gotten the same treatment. Unacceptable. This is Resident Evil. This isn't baby evil. This isn't maybe evil. This is Resident Evil, boy. This ain't we renting here evil. This is Resident Evil. We are a resident. We own this property. So get it together or you're not going to have no people playing your games. That's it. So let's talk about Moreau. Like I said in my previous video about the game, Moreau they didn't do much with him except make him look like Igor. The whole Moreau's Island is turning people into half animal beast things. I would have loved to have seen that. That would have been interesting. If you're going to steal the name anyway and make the poor man's laboratory, that laboratory section was crazy. He didn't have to have no laboratory because we went to a factory right after Moreau. So there was really no reason to put that factory in there. I do believe something was, they wanted the motif. They really wanted they did fool us because they don't give us enough information and they try to fool us. Like lichens, they call them lichens. It should be chimera because they're smashing wolf blood with, if you're going to do the whole Moreau thing and switch it in humans and whatnot, it would be a chimera. But hey, I'm just a nerd, right? I'm just a geek who knows my lore in mythology and whatnot. But we barely get in. It's like, it's just a water scene. It's kind of like, it's whatever. His boss battle was the best, but it was just because of how the terrain was. And he was huge. It was hard to duke him out. It was hard to dodge him. It was kind of like Lady Dimitrescu, except hers was so easy. She was so slow. And she didn't do anything when she went into the air. Maybe it was because I wasn't on the hardest mode. But like I said before, you shouldn't have to play the hardest mode to get the best gameplay. The hard mode should be for the people who play the regular, get excited about it, and harder enemies. That's basically it. You shouldn't have to, the experience of the game shouldn't have to be played through the hardest difficulty. It shouldn't. But basically, Moreau, he gets basically his inspiration specifically from Moreau's Island or whatever it's called. I really don't know the name. I'm pretty sure it's called Moreau's Island because I've never watched it. I just know the parodies. I've seen a lot of parodies like on The Simpsons and whatnot. But yeah, that's basically where it ends. If I missed anything, I can't really think of anything else that inspires him. He kind of looked like Hunchback of Notre Dame, but he ain't ring no bell. So he has like, I don't know. It's just what I did notice. Like I said in my post gameplay video, I say that they have a lot of inspiration from Resident Evil 4. Like they're trying to get us prepped and ready, nice and lubed up, ready for this garbage. And I noticed that Moreau's mutation is similar to Las Plagas. Just like I said, Mother Miranda's final form is reminiscent of whatever that boy's name is. He had an eye in his mouth. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I get Salazar and Sadler mixed up. There was really no reason to name one Salazar and one Sadler. That's another thing that's ridiculous. Like, okay, sa. Like, just because we in Spain don't mean everyone's name got to start with an S. But, whatever. Nitpick. The next one I want to talk about is what's-his-face, Heisenberg, and the stuff that I learned recently. So, there's this dude who made this movie called Frankenstein'sArmy, which is a cool name. I don't know the plot, but the inspiration is insanely similar. It's not just the fan boss, by the way. There are like 4 or 5 creatures from Frankenstein's Army that actually look like creatures in Heisenberg's factory. Anyone could have made that up. Anyone could have did that, but those things look too similar. The enemies in his factory look very, very, very similar. And when It is so hilarious that people eye the fan man as the big kahuna of the reason why that they need to address this, because the fan man in the games has no arms. But there is a secret report that explains why. And when I read it, I kind of felt strange. Nothing that I feel when I read crap through the secret reports before. Like, nothing that I've ever read made me feel some type of way in the way I felt when I read that one. And it is interesting. It makes sense if it's plagiarized. I don't know how far things can go when it comes to references, because that's not even a reference. That's just straight up taking it without acknowledging or giving him a cut of the pie. I don't know how far it can go. The only thing I could say is I know it would be plagiarism if straight up one of the enemies was Jason. But in Resident Evil 7, the reason why there was no plagiarism when Jack Baker said groovy, when it was a reference to Ash versus the Evil Dead. He said groovy. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same situation. It wasn't like, that's a reference. Explain, like, let's have a conversation in the comments. So do you think that this Frankenstein's Army, all those creatures, look it up. There's like 4 or 5, including the fan guy, looks just like the creatures that he made. It looks like the propellers, it's impossible for the original to cut his arms off, but it just so happens that the blades are a lot longer in the one in the game. But I don't know. I would consider that to be pretty interesting. If it were my work, I'd fight this too. But I'm pretty sure, like, they'll settle out of court if this gets to court. They'll probably just throw money at him, and because people are struggling, people have been struggling, he'll accept the money, or she'll, whoever it is, they'll accept the money because they'll probably give him enough to not have to deal with it. And I think that's sad. I think he should just get the residual. So they are so, like, tugging themselves over. They're literally just, like, sucking themselves off about how much money and how many copies they sold. As so many people say, this is a bad game. I see a lot of these things talk about, 10 out of 10 game. Oh my gosh, this is a great experience. Like, when it is a part of another game, like if this was called something else, it would be a great game if it was called something else. Too bad you decided that you couldn't live without taking from someone else's greatness. Now, let's talk about some of the other quote unquote inspirations and or references they use in Resident Evil 8, shall we? So Harry Potter comes up a lot. Mother Miranda's Village of Shadow story is told in a similar way the Deathly Hallows was told. This I would consider a reference because, first off, it's not the same. Deathly Hallows are only 3. They did 4. Okay. And the story at the end, it was a different story, and it wasn't told. It was the told from the beginning, and then the end gave you the end. Deathly Hallows is told in one swoop. It looks different. A lot of people said Tim Burton, which made, technically, it was Tim Burton-esque, but I actually clocked it as Harry Potter before I even saw the Whomping Willows, which is another thing. Freaking Whomping Willows everywhere. When Mother Miranda flips out and loses some of her power, she starts erecting trees that look very similar to Whomping Willows. This is also a reference because they don't serve the same purpose. It's not hiding nothing. They don't have to go under it. I mean, they do have to go under it, but it's not like I don't know. It's just different. I wouldn't consider that plagiarism. I would consider that a nod. Mother Miranda switches to Mia, like that dude switched to Professor Mooney and took his place. But again, it's different. It's a nod because it's not a potion. It's different situation, different scenario. I do believe this is a reference, not plagiarism. The Four Lords kind of like the 4 houses of Harry Potter, they don't have the same color palette. I could literally make a case for each one of them having to represent of the elements. Now knowing what I know, I do believe that Lady Dimitrescu has to do with fire. Maybe earth, but I don't know. I would say fire because her thing's ice, the problem's ice, but whatever. I talk about that in a video before. Go check my Resident Evil playlist if you want to see. Like I said, Code Veronica and Resident Evil 4 is referenced a bunch of times. A lot of things that are reminiscent of it, like the whole village aspect was in 4. And like I said, the Donna Beneviento, she kind of, that whole thing with the losing someone reminded me of Alfred Ashford. But again, I don't... They cut so many things out with Donna. For what? For what, though? What purpose did it serve? Did it make a better game? Did it make her more compelling? Because as of right now, she is not compelling whatsoever. As of right now, I am disappointed and disgraced. I am sickened. And I'm appalled that y'all straight up did her dirty like that. Yet another woman done dirty. So Dimitrescu is gonna be the most OP and then be called the B out her name. Called the B word out her name when she's dead. Can't do nothing about it. He didn't say it to her face, but whatever. Gonna kill her with some fictitious knife that can kill anything, and then it goes into a ditch right after, so you can't use it on the rest of them. What a coinky dink. Then Donna's gonna be trash. Gonna be a trash character no one cares about. Cared more about Moreau. I cared more about Ethan, and I hate Ethan, than I cared about Donna, because you didn't make me care. Like, we barely got 2 seconds with her. Barely got 2 seconds with Mother Miranda. The only thing we can say is, okay, a mother wants her child. Like, that's all we can say. That's it. You use our pathos. It's cheap pathos, because it's just pathos that is human nature to do. Like, it's human nature to care. But you don't make us care in the way that we should, based on the merits of the character, based on what we see. And what we see, I don't care about her because she's using this doll, and that's it. Like, even she could have talked to us like a little bit more than when she died. Like, literally, we don't get nothing. We get more with Moreau. We get more with Moreau than Heisenberg. It just makes no sense how Mother Miranda in the beginning would be like, okay, I made my decision. Okay, Heisenberg, you can do whatever you want with this dude, with this fool. If she knew that Heisenberg was a danger to her, why would she was she trying to bribe him into staying? Make him feel good about himself? Why wouldn't you just kill him then? Did she not know? It just makes no sense for I like the whole thing where he's rebelling, but it just doesn't make sense in the whole grand scheme of things. From beginning to end, it makes no sense that she would have favored him if he was such an enemy, if he didn't like her the whole time. And we don't understand when Heisenberg comes to this realization that he's being used. We don't get any transition from him being honorable, loyal lapdog, doing as she bids, to we gotta kill her and she's gotta go. Kind of was just put in there. But it, in a way, it was the only reason why I liked it, was because the Lords seemed to be such characters. We got puppet shows and whatnot about them, but they're dead, so it's just like, okay. And then even the puppets, it's just Angie talking. It's not Donna. They understand that Donna was done wrong to the point where she doesn't even have a character. It's Angie. But like, I just wanted to talk about that because a lot of people are talking about the reviews and whatnot. I got my review out pretty early because I got the game at launch, and I just don't see a lot what people are seeing. Like the whole thing, I talk throughout my playthrough. If you want to see my playthrough, it's on Twitch. I still have no idea how to get it from Twitch to YouTube, because for some reason every time I download the video, it speeds up and then freezes, but the audio is still playing. Please, if anyone knows what that means, please let me know in the comments what I can do to fix that. But in my playthrough, I straight up talk about what I see. Game logic's off. There's a lot of problems in the way I move. It's just strange, and a lot of people say it. But I understand a lot of people are saying there's a lot of conflicting gameplay reactions, and I don't know if it's just because a lot of people, since we've got them on all angles, if it's a problem solely on console or if it's something that's on PC as well. But some people were like, oh, well, when I shoot, it's like they're dodging out the way and it's too hard to shoot them. And then other people are like, it's so easy to shoot them because the AI's dumb. So it's like, what I got was a kind of mixture of that. The AI did seem a little dumb, and it's easy to navigate around them. But for the most part, if you don't, like, dodge attacks, you can still block them. I didn't see a problem with that because the blocking was a good thing. I literally went through the entire game of Resident Evil 7 and didn't block not once because I didn't know how. So I died a lot more than I didn't need to. But I never blocked. When I learned I could block, I was like, wow, that would have been a lot easier. But Resident Evil 7 is way more constricted. Resident Evil 8 has some constricting parts, but it's not a constricted game. Resident Evil 7 was very closed. Even when you were outside, you could only go certain areas. And then you went into this small, like, trailer tractor thing that Zoe was living in inside the house. Literally, Resident Evil 7 is insane. It's like a joke. It's literally a joke. And then 8 is like the punchline. It just is insane. Y'all shoehorned Chris. Y'all try to shoehorn Ada, but you knew that because Leon won't in this game, you didn't really have any reason why to bring Ada in here. Y'all knew. Y'all always do that. Y'all always love to put Ada where she ought not be. She ought not have been in 4, but y'all put her in there, and then you put Wesker in there. It's just like, okay, let's just put everybody in there. Where's Claire? Claire, Leon need to be together. Chris and Jill need to be together. Like, I really do not want to see Chris anymore unless I see a ring on his finger and Jill by his side, honestly. They need to at least get together before one of them dies. They need to be together. Stop. Don't tell me, oh, well, it's like, oh, they only like each other. Like, oh, it's like a sister to me. No, they are not. It's not platonic. It's not a brother and sister relationship. It is a lover relationship. Jill should be with Chris. Shut up. Jill should be with Chris. Leon should be with Claire. End of story. Or they all die alone. And that's terrible. Why is it that we got this dude? The only confirmed relationship in Resident Evil canon because of you guys is Mia and Ethan. Because of you guys, we would have already had this whole... It's insane. I just came up with this. I am sitting here right now, this second on this earth. I do not work for you guys. I do not have anything to do with Resident Evil, Capcom, anything. And I literally just came up with an idea that can cancel out the whole Ethan line. If you insisted on going through the same route, you could have canceled Resident Evil 8 and 7. And if you wanted this whole Rosemary super soldier creature baby, zombie baby, you could have had Jill Valentine have a baby with Chris Redfield. Both of them have been exposed to all these viruses. Every last one of them. Chris has been exposed to the Veronica virus and a whole lot more. Jill was infected with Ouroboros. And I do believe she had like a Plagas or something in there. She got some G up in there. She got some T up in there. She's got a cocktail of viruses up in her body. She could have had the baby that is Rosemary. We did not need Ethan Winters. We did not need Mia Winters, or whatever her last name is before she got married. We did not need Mia. We didn't need any of them. They could have been in the toilet trash, dead, blown up, exploded, somewhere else, on another world, in another universe, in another game. Could have been another game. You could have made Rosemary from Jill and Chris Redfield. Why didn't you do that? Now we have to contend with this super soldier thing. What is the end goal with this crap? The Avengers? What is it? What is it? Because I'm confused and I'm angry. I don't want Resident Evil 9. I want Code Veronica remake so I can be done. That's all I'm waiting for. I'm not going to get the remake of Resident Evil 4. What's the point? Like, literally, the graphics look gross to this day's standards, but it holds up. It holds up. It holds up. It holds up. Still, Resident Evil Code Veronica does not. It doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't. I will, milk it all day. It's great. It's the best game on earth. It's the best Resident Evil game. It is the best Resident Evil game. No one can tell me otherwise. No one can tell me that garbage crap, misery piece of garbage, disgusting trash, Resident Evil 4 is anything other than what I just said. Resident Evil Code Veronica is the greatest of all time. It is the GOAT. It's got every single thing that you need in a Resident Evil game. Virus, BOWs, people behind the BOWs, freaking survival horror, freaking we don't need no merchant selling us wares. We don't need our guns taken. Maybe we need to put them in a save box. Where's the save boxes? Can we have a save box? Where'd those go? Can we have some co-op thing going on like Zero again? Can we do that? Can we get out of this Call of Duty first-person view crap? Can we get out of that? Can we? I'm asking you. I'm begging, honestly at this point. Stop. It's not what we want. Who are you asking? Who are you asking? When you make a game, who are you asking? Because you're not asking the fans what we want. You're not. You are not, because no one wanted this. You're trying to get more people to be fans. And that's not good because you're going to lose us. They're not going to stay. They're not going to stay for this. They're going to get confused. They're going to be like, who's Chris? Oh, well, bye. You drop the controller. I don't want to play with you anymore. Like Andy from Toy Story freaking. That's what they're going to do with your games. They're not going to stay. They don't want to know the lore. They're going to be like, Albert, who? Barry, what? Jill Sandwich, what you mean? And they're not going to play the remakes because they don't care. We care about the lore. We're the ones that upholding the lore. We're the ones keeping it alive. Y'all don't even know what the lore is. Talk about Oswald E. Spencer, no Mother Miranda. Why didn't we know this before? Are we going to get DLC explaining that? Why on earth are you giving us DLC for missing puzzle pieces? That's not what DLC is. DLC is downloadable content, not the game part 2, not part 3. We shouldn't have to pay extra for the game that we should have gotten before. You're taking out of the handbook of Kingdom Hearts 3. Remind me why I'm supposed to still care about y'all. Remind me, please. I went to Castle Oblivion. I have lost my memories. I don't know what else to say, honestly. It's just sick. Stop relying on inspirations and references. Just stick to the script, honestly. Play some games prior, because you guys obviously don't know what Resident Evil is. Oswald E. Spencer come in there, talk about, oh, this is really nice. Let me take this and put it over here. And guys, I got it. Umbrella Corporation. Isn't that interesting? Was that something anyone wanted to know? Where that came from? I don't hear anyone saying yes. Because it's not. What I do want to know is, why should we care about Mother Miranda when we only saw her once? We at least saw Sadler 2 times before we killed him. We saw his lackey. We saw the other lackeys. But I don't know. I feel like we got more of an interaction between Salazar and even Sadler before we killed them. We get barely anything with Moreau. We get zilch, zero, zit, nada with Donna. We get Heisenberg for a little bit, and then he turns into this villain hero. Strange, trying to help Ethan, trying to destroy Ethan, trying to help Mother Miranda, trying to kill Mother Miranda. He had two different things going on. I was starting to believe, since he was electronic or mechanical or whatever. Well, I know he's not, but the whole thing about him at the end, it was kind of like, I don't know. I really don't understand how we killed him, because if he was a bunch of metal, how did we kill him? And I know his thing really was strange. It really was odd. Their explanation at the end. We got it at the end, guys. We had to read these things at the end. And it wasn't throughout the game. We didn't get anything. We would have never, if we did not play as Chris at the end and got all those shoehorned in papers, we would have never understood anything about this game. At the very least, the papers need to be prior to the end of the game. And just because it was before the final boss doesn't make it prior. It can't be 2 minutes prior before the end of the game. It can't be 5 minutes prior. It needs to be sprinkled throughout. This game, technically, used to be kind of like a mystery. And Resident Evil Revelations kind of was giving back that mystery aspect of Resident Evil, like Resident Evil 0. It was a mystery of what was going on. It doesn't make sense, it kind of ruins canon a bit, because it ruins Rebecca's arc. It ruins her arc in that game, for one, because she's like weak and a wimp in one, but Wesker's a two-timer, and Barry's a two-timer too, and I'm sorry, my family and all that, okay? Mysteries. 2, we don't know what's going on, how'd that happen? Okay, mystery. 3, we don't know what's going on, what's happening, we're Jill, mystery. Why is this dude running at me with a gun? Mystery. Resident Evil Code Veronica, why are we here, where's my brother? Mystery. Resident Evil 4, at least, kind of, sort of, even Resident Evil 4, never did I think the day would come that I would actually have to defend Resident Evil under the honor of Resident Evil 4. But Resident Evil 4 is a mystery. Where is the President's daughter? That's a mystery. It's a mystery. You can't lie. It's a mystery. Resident Evil Revelations, despite it being garbage and trash and literally just vomit on the floor, it was a mystery. Where is my daughter? Barry's like, where my daughter? Where my whole situation at? Who's this? Matilda, whatever that girl's name is, literally should not have been there. Should not have been there. Get out of here. But it was a mystery nonetheless. Resident Evil 5. Okay, what's going on in Africa? What's going on? Okay, we found the progenitor flower and whatnot, even though no one's actually talking about it. Like, it's not something that we've been searching for a million, billion, trillion years, trying to figure out what we're supposed to do with it. And it's a big deal. Mystery. Resident Evil 7. We talked to this dude. We're welcome to the family, son. Like, we don't even know this dude. We don't know anybody. It's just a whole new thing. We shouldn't have called it 7. It should have just been Biohazard. We should have left it at that. But then they added the number because they were like, okay, we're just going to keep going with this. Should have been its own thing, like Resident Evil Revelations is its own thing and it fits somewhere else. That would have been better. I would have had more respect for 7 and 8 if it wasn't 7 and 8. I would have had more respect for it. Honestly, I would have. Both games don't belong in Resident Evil. Canon. Nothing. The winter should not exist. If you were trying to get to if C is the end, A and B should have been Jill and Chris Redfield. People we've been talking to for a while. Something to where you can end their story. This whole story, Resident Evil 8 could have been just Chris. And then turns out Chris needs to sacrifice himself. And then Jill's has this baby and got to figure out her life. Or they both could have died. And then I would actually felt something, because it's just like we've known Chris and we've known Jill for so long. For so long. We started the games with Jill and Chris and all that. Like, we started the games with them. We could end with them. They're family. But that will never happen, will it? Because you already destroyed it. You've already ruined it. We already have to deal with the winters. And let's just talk about the story real quick. Remember when I said in the beginning that the mother was Mother Miranda and the child was Eve or Evie, whatever we're trying to say, like these basic bootleg names, but whatever. A lot of people may speculate or may say, oh, you are incorrect, and try to get a little, actually, well, technically with me, and say the mother was Mia, because in the end, the father is revealed to be Ethan, and the witch is Mother Miranda. Well, I'll have you know that Mia did nothing in this game. She didn't break no spell. Ethan Winters literally did everything in this game. He held his baby's head in his hand, put it in his pocket, and walked around with it in a jar. He's the one that got all those pieces and put them back together. Ethan's the one that would have broken the spell. And it's ridiculous because it's like you literally made him the only person. When you guys know, in every game you've ever made, or every game that's actually a good Resident Evil game, there's a second perspective. You play as Steve Burnside more and longer than you play with Chris, honestly. You play as Steve Burnside in Resident Evil Code Veronica longer than you play Chris in this game, in Resident Evil Village. You don't play with Mia at all. It would have been cool to actually see Mia get out of that place herself. Maybe the place where we didn't have no weapons was with Mia, unfortunately, because yet another woman's got to be hindered. Why not? Give her a gun. Freaking give her a gun. Even in Resident Evil 7, we played as Mia in the tapes. And we played in the past as well. We played in the past as well, didn't we? On that boat. Where are the different perspectives? Where is Mia? Did you cut out Mia's section? Because Chris's section is too small to actually even be considered co-op or considered a second perspective. Mia should have been the second perspective if you wanted me to believe that in the Village of Shadows story, Mia was the one who broke the spell for her child. Because she did jack diddly squat. And Carlos Chris, he needs to be fired from the job. He really needs to, they need to say, thank you, you done your part. He does not need to come back because he doesn't know what voice acting is. He thinks voice acting means he's the same person every time. He did nothing different to change his voice. Not everyone can be that dude that plays SpongeBob's voice and sound different. Like he literally, okay, this is an example. I don't know his name. I really don't know his name. Dude that plays SpongeBob, right? Everyone knows him. We know him. His voice actor plays Ice King on Adventure Time. Tell me, maybe you can hear similarities because it's the same person, but does Ice King sound like SpongeBob at all? He does not. He doesn't use the same voice because they're two different characters and they're two different universes. And it's ironic because even in the same universe, two different characters should sound different. Chris and Carlos are two different characters in the same universe. Now you're voicing two characters and they sound exactly the same. That makes no sense. If they're in the same room, how are you gonna do that? And it's not like how you gonna do that. Like, oh, you're the same person. Like, I know that isn't a recording. What I'm saying is you're going to be talking to yourself is what I'm saying. You screwed yourself. I hope they don't get him again. And I looked him up and he is Anglo-Saxon or post-colonialism. But he's Caucasus. He's freaking from the Caucasus Mountains and playing Javier and playing Carlos. Y'all need to get it together. Disgusting. I'm done, really. Just wanted to drop this by because I thought that it was insane. I was just thinking to myself, wow, each Resident Evil is relying more and more on these references. And then this dude comes out talking about, yeah, they took my crap. Just thought that was real interesting. Like I said, there's a difference between reference, inspiration, and plagiarism. And I do believe most of what they used to do and most of what they did a little bit in the past were just references and inspirations. But now they're getting to the point where they literally have no imagination. Please. I would love to work for you guys so that you guys can actually stop wasting people's money and stop wasting your own funds, because You're literally throwing it down the toilet to make garbage. Ethan Winters should never have been in the situation, but since he's in the situation, you can salvage this. You can salvage this whole situation, but stop trying to be freaking Call of Duty without the Call of Duty mindset. You cannot release a Resident Evil game that's not ready. You took too much out of this game. You didn't have enough in this game. It's just a hobslodge modge of podge. It's worthless. I would not recommend it to anyone. It's not a good Resident Evil game. It's a good game. It's a good game. It should have been called something else. It should have been called freaking Way Back When and the Way Back When. It could have been called freaking anything. It's not my job to name your games. This is not Resident Evil. Everyone knows who's a fan knows that this crap is not Resident Evil. Maybe 1/4 of this game is Resident Evil. Not the merchant part. That's not as stable. That's not something that's required. That's something you guys added because people getting older and people coming up into these games freaking don't want a hard game. They need to freaking deal with it. Or play freaking Minecraft or something. Play Fortnite. You such a freaking baby, play Fortnite or something. Can't even play Apex because we can't build walls. Freaking deal with it. But I'm done.